Hello, good evening and welcome to UPfront. My name is Raymond Aqua. Today, we interrogate government's plan to deal with what it describes as its biggest headache. That's the unemployment situation in the country. We'll actually get to know how they appreciate the situation of unemployment and get into perhaps the most exciting of the programs they have put out there. And if you have time, verify 1,096,000 of you who have been given jobs and be able to understand them better. My guest I'll be telling you after this short break, and we'll also be interrogating you with the minority too when we come back way later on in the course of our conversation. But for now, we should go out for a short break. You're welcome to UPfront. My name is Raymond Aqua, and today my guest is a deputy minister in the ministry charged with the responsibility to deal with labor and employment issues. The Honorable Bright Rekubrobe is also a member of parliament in Ghana's parliament anyway. So, Honorable, you're welcome to UPfront.
Thank you very much, Raymond.
I hope you are doing well today.
Very well, by grace.
I mean, you will do well. If you're in government and you're in parliament, life is good.
It's good as you see it, but it comes also with lots of responsibilities.
I can see that.
We cannot run away from that.
Okay, it's interesting. Now, how is the ministry doing?
Well, good evening to viewers, and especially those from my constituency. It's a privilege for me to be dealing with you and talking to them at the same time. The ministry is doing quite well. You have heard quite little on the labor front. That is what most people normally would judge us by. I recall when I was...
Not too much turbulence there.
Yes, not too much turbulence in the ministry per se, but nationally. You do not are hearing a lot of noise, a lot of strike actions, agitations, and it tells how we are working behind the scenes. And we are
gagging people from speaking.
We are grateful not to the minister or myself, but then to the labor leadership who have understood the kinds of engagement that we are having with them. And for me, I always say that there must be a paradigm shift where leadership of labor are judged by the number of strikes and the number of agitations people make. In the past, it used to be so. These days, they are judged more by the stability of the system and how far you are controlling affairs and how far they are also getting their due.
So who changed this criteria for determining the standards that labor is supposed to operate it? Well, the ministry or labor itself?
I think the system generally, as it, it's a social setup.
I know it is in your interest that they are quiet, but how do you determine that is the criteria for determining effective leadership at the labor front?
No, the criteria apart from that is when those that you lead are getting all the things that they want optimally. When they are optimally satisfied. So in that case, you cannot, say you are probably jumping onto the street. That's what I'm saying.
Are Ghanaian public sector workers satisfied today?
Well, that's a question which, by virtue of economics, nobody will tell you that he's satisfied.
Are Ghanaians public sector workers well off or better off under the MPP's last few months in office?
I think by and large, yes.
And what would be the criteria for determining that?
No, the criteria for determination is that somebody had about 1 million, old Ghana cedis, 100 cedis last month. Okay. The person was buying charcoal, at say 40 Ghana cedis. The person could buy 3 bags and sell. In the last 4 months, consistently the person buys the bag of charcoal at 40 cedis. So you can say fairly the system is stable and making things thrive for the person to do his or her business.
This is not to say that charcoal is actually in the inflation basket. That's what you're saying, right?
No, that's not. I'm only giving you an example of how stable the system is.
Oh, stability at what level?
Stability in terms of inflations.
Oh, okay.
So people are not agitating. And they are going about their normal businesses. Those that are borrowing from banks are not doing so with fear. the interest rates are coming down.
They are coming down?
Oh, yes, yes.
Which
yes.
of the banks are you talking about?
Oh, generally.
I don't see them coming down. Okay, so when the Bank of Ghana published the ARIs, I did not see a massive drop anytime soon.
No, you don't say massive. If it is even marginal, there's a drop. You do not see.
I'm not sure you're using the prime rate as a standard of determining whether the commercial banks also charge the same rate. You and I know that the commercial banks don't charge with prime rate in mind.
I'm looking at the system.
Yes.
You were asking me are Ghanaian workers. I mean, without even indicators. And I'm telling you, the normal trend that people are now going about their businesses.
But there's no evidence that interest rate is on the downward trend. That's what I'm questioning. I'm not talking about interest rate on what they call it, the T-bills. I'm talking about interest rate, which is being charged to the ordinary person when they walk into banks to demand loan.
No, I'm also not looking at that. I'm looking at the general satisfaction people have now when they go to the market.
Are Ghanaian workers paid more than they were paid previously?
If you even want to say that, I would say yes, because in 2017...
The seasonal adjustments. Virtually every year they adjust it. If it's not 8, it's 9, it is 10%. That's what they do virtually every year.
But Raymond, which of them are you looking at?
No, but my problem is that you are talking about seasonal adjustments.
No, whether it is marginal or not,
yes.
The people have had increments. And whether satisfaction or not, that's why I told you that nobody in this world, per economics, is satisfied when he gets to a certain stage. But then, generally, life isn't too hard as we used to see.
What's minimum wage today?
Minimum wage today, because the new one hasn't come out.
Yes, we are not doing the new one.
Yes.
The current
think
minimum wage.
It's 9 CD 68 pesos.
9 CD 68
yes,
pesos.
And this is the 2017-2018
I get your
wage.
point.
Yes.
9 CD 68 pesos.
Right.
Is that not way too minimal?
I mean, that's more relative. If we bring in that discussion, a lot of things went into that determination. So you and I cannot just sit here and say it is.
Is that an inflation-adjusted target?
We took everything into consideration and got there.
It's interesting.
We are looking at that for 2019, which we are discussing. So I wouldn't want us to even go there.
I guess you. I'm not actually going to preempt that.
Stay with what we have.
Is that a living wage or a minimum wage?
It's called minimum wage for now.
Is that a living wage? Your 9 CD 68 pesos, is that a living wage?
Raymond, you may want to interpret it. I mean, no matter how you would do it, the minimum wage is what we live with. If you want to bring another definition for it, it's a different matter. But we are talking of minimum wage, which we have been living with it as we speak.
But we agree with me that there's no better determinant of the state of the Ghanaian worker than how much the Ghanaian worker is taking home. I hope you understand that.
Absolutely. And that's what I've told you, that as we speak,
yes.
I think by and large, people are okay.
They are well off.
Oh, if you say well off, it's relative.
They are better off than they were
excitement
under
and
John
happiness,
Dramani Mahama's
excitement
government.
And happiness of people are determined by the people themselves. And I am telling you, by and large,
yes.
I think that people are happy with the status quo now. Yes.
The workers.
Workers of Ghana.
Yes, and includes the civil and local government staff too. That's it.
They fall under our workers category. Why
there are
not?
people who hold press conferences and say that ministries, including your very own, have taken their jobs and given it to special assistants.
Well, that's also a different topic
area. It is not a different topic area. It is the state of the Ghanaian worker. He threatened his work is being taken away by ministers and given it to other people. In fact, they were bold enough to mention the Ministry of Finance as an example.
Raymond, if they've been able to mention something, it's subject to, trying to find out what it is, and then
have you done so? Has the ministry sought to interrogate this matter?
No, I mean it
really.
It hasn't even come to our attention.
Have you heard it?
I have not seen any official
letter. They issued
letter.
A press statement. You didn't hear that?
I have not seen it.
You've not seen the press statement?
I have not seen it.
Clocksack's massive press statement.
I have not seen it. It was when I was coming to your studio that somebody just even called me that there has been some meeting by Clocksack,
yes.
and they are saying, and he wants to ask me a question about it. And I said, I have not even heard it. He's telling me for the first time. And we are also,
because this is not the first time they raised it. Bampoado Isaac actually raised it some months ago. And he was very worried that the Ministry of Finance is becoming terrible. Now, the most recent ones that they are even afraid for themselves in that particular ministry because they are flying queries on whatever you do in the ministry, not because they are substandard workers, but because some others are taking up their responsibilities in this case. And they are special assistants, political appointees, people who are known to be political party, what they call it, previous and assigns.
Raymond, let me be honest with you that normally, I mean, when government takes office, I have not seen the Clerk's Act statement, so I'm not speaking to that. But if you want to speak about maybe personal assistance and so on,
yes,
there are people who help us, I mean, in the functioning, effective functioning of whichever office we find ourselves in. The civil servants that work with you, to be honest, I am gaining a lot of wisdom from them, a lot of experience, the way I'm working with them.
It doesn't look like that's the same thing is happening at the Ministry of Finance.
But then these are isolated them pockets. We have over 36 ministries.
No,
and if they are mentioning, if somebody is mentioning one ministry, you cannot
they say it's
take
happening
that
all across
and generalize.
the place. Sorry, forgive me. That's what they're saying.
But
you said that you have not heard the statement. So you can take it from me because I've heard the statement.
I have not heard it. And
yes. And you cannot claim that I have also not heard it because I am here. I heard it. Yes.
You're telling me. Yes. You just told me that one ministry was singled out and mentioned.
Yes, singled out.
1 out of 36.
Because it is preponderant in that ministry.
So you cannot,
unlike the other ministries.
Generalize. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, to be fair, they're not saying that all the ministries are doing that.
Fantastic.
But they're saying that it is happening in other ministries too.
If it is
which they are not mentioning.
You see, it's happening there, and as we speak, I've not even seen the statement. I don't know the enormous nature of how this is rampant here and there. I cannot speak to that for now.
Will your office investigate this matter?
Well, if a letter is written to us for us to look at it, or you know, a better way of communicating to us that this is what I cannot take anything from anywhere, and then we begin to investigate. If an official complaint is brought to my minister, who is in charge of labor, that this is what is happening, we will quickly call stakeholders, do an investigation, see where we will right the wrongs.
Okay, is it right for a minister to change the position of a public servant and put in there a special assistant or one of those political appointees, right or wrong?
You are pushing me into an area.
No, I'm not asking. No, sorry, I'm not asking you to conjecture. I am asking you as a deputy minister in the Employment and Labour Relations Minister. What is the standard operating principle in the ministries? That's what I'm asking.
It is not wrong for a minister to seek technical advice from anywhere in the execution of his functions.
That's not my question.
It is not wrong.
My question is it right for a minister to replace a public servant with a political appointee? That is the question I'm asking.
But you're asking me something which you yourself cannot substantiate.
Sorry.
You said somebody has told you this. So
I am not saying that I want to substantiate it. You know, sorry, I'm just asking for standards. But
we cannot
but this is unfair. You can answer this question. This question ought to be answered.
No.
What is the procedure? Is it the case that ministers are allowed to replace public servants with one of their own, being a political appointee? That's a simple question.
To the best of my knowledge,
yes.
Every civil servant we came to meet that we are working with is still in office. But if you find that in the course of your work, you need some technical impulse and you want to get a technical person, or sometimes the office that you have worked, there's a comfort zone. There is somebody who has been with you and has worked with you, known the way you operate. And if the person is assisting the crop of people you have, I don't see anything wrong.
Who pays these people, the political appointees, the special assistants? Who pays them?
Well, I am paying my own research assistant. So
from your pocket?
I don't know whichever the ministers and who are paying who and so on and so forth.
So, I mean, is that the standard practice, or it is in your very case you are making reference to?
No, I like I'm saying, I went to the ministry.
Okay,
look,
your personal assistant.
I had my driver.
Whose job is your personal assistant taking?
I'm coming.
Yes.
I had my driver. When I went to the ministry says, we have drivers. As we speak, even coming to your studio, I came with my ministry's driver.
Okay.
If I'm going to the constituency, my personal driver is there, I'll go with him.
Okay.
So
but that's separation of duty.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
The fear
personally, my personal assistant is not taking over the job of the civil servant. I have 2 secretaries in my office.
Yes.
They are operating fully.
Their job is not being done by somebody.
At all. They are doing all the job nicely.
Are you of the considered opinion that this is also the case in all the other ministries?
I should think so. So you are telling me that...
Do you know so or you should think so?
I should think so. I should think, because you are now telling me that there has been a statement issued by Clocksack.
Yes.
And saying
this is the second time they're actually issuing.
Yes. Yeah, and so I must tell you that I should think that the civil servants are even still there. But the minister may need, some technical inputs for which he or she has to liaise with somebody who has expertise and knowledge in that area. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. I don't think it is wrong at all.
On temporary or permanent basis?
The minister's job itself, do you call it permanent or temporary? It's coterminous with the minister.
That's true.
Yes, if you bring somebody to come and help you to do your work, naturally it is that people, have not lived up to expectations. We have so many of such people who have even been mechanized.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and are working now. We have so many people. You heard the issue of the Flagstaff House issuing some number of staff and so on. Those that we came to meet, some of whom were personal assistants and so on, had been mechanized. You cannot simply terminate the appointment. There are certain jobs which you need the input of somebody in your comfort zone. You can't simply, be running the job when you come in entirely new, and then you have crop of people also around you who are entirely new. You need such kind of balance.
There's a question that's related to this.
The second issue is that most of these ministers, some are members of parliament.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, and they come with,
Parliament has assistants for them, research assistants.
The research assistants and sometimes personal assistants who are helping with constituency work and so on. So you find all these kinds of people around the minister. It does not mean that any minister has, sacked a civil servant or has abandoned the civil servant. You are still. I get you.
Are you still open to impartially interrogating this matter? Because you have the firm belief that the thing is not even happening.
It's not happening. I don't think it is happening.
Really?
The only way which I think can take place is that somebody must be helping the minister, and then somebody may think that, well, I was supposed to do this, and I'm not. But ask any of the civil servants whether their salaries have been blocked because he's not using.
But work satisfaction is not dependent on salary alone. That's true.
Raymond,
I mean, does this government have a thinking that the public service is made up of substandard people?
You see, proud to me coming to the
ministry,
the public service.
Okay.
I had a thinking like that when I was out.
Okay.
Yeah, because I am a development practitioner.
Okay.
And if I do not even have time that I close. I get things done.
Yeah, yeah.
And sometimes you get to the ministries, 4:35, people are locking their offices and they are leaving. It didn't used to happen to me. But when I got in, I've seen that we have some of the finest brains in the civil service, civil and public service. Some of the finest. I mean, they write speeches for you, and you don't have anywhere to even ink it.
Oh, okay.
They are so solid. Of course, we also have some bad notes. People who have a feeling that we are in the. I mean, I'm an employee of government of Ghana. They go to work as and when they like, and it's a concern.
Which one's in the majority?
Just 2 days ago, my minister was discussing this with us about the time that people even come to work.
Okay.
Yes, and we have to look at it.
I've seen 2 different government departments, the Controller and Accountant General's department and another ministry take tough action. What they did, they locked the people out.
Which for me, I think is the beginning. People must have a different orientation to work.
You endorse the locking out?
Not necessarily.
Is it in your disciplinary codes?
Not necessarily endorsing it. But people must be up and doing. People must be up and doing. Generally, our attitude and orientation to work is something we need to discuss as a nation. We can't continue to be doing things like this. You recall there was last year, there was a statement I made on how do you call it, Kunkum Bagia and all You get to offices, and sometimes 10 a.m., people are just glued to TV sets.
What is your problem with that?
My problem with that...
It is a network that is showing it. Well, the people, they don't have the right to watch TV.
My problem is that productivity in the workplace, you can watch it in your home, have no problem. But you get to offices. And these are the kinds of things which we must be discussing.
Okay, so I say they should not watch TV, not a particular program, but you say they should not watch TV when they are working. That's what you're saying.
I think that when it's time for work.
Yes.
I stayed abroad for like a whole year. And I saw their attitude to work. When I clocked in, 6 p.m., I stand on my feet for about 4 hours before I'm even allowed to go on break.
Okay.
So, and that is work. But as for us, there's the leisure, you know, and it's all rooted in our culture. We stop what we are doing.
Is it predominant or it is the minority group that are doing this? Is it the majority of workers or is the minority of workers that are doing this?
Well, I don't have any scientific basis to get the numbers.
Okay, I get you.
Or the percentage of which group are. But I'm saying we have some of the finest brains. Okay. The finest. I have learnt a lot, you know, from the time I became a deputy minister to date. Okay. And all what I have learnt are those that I'm being taught by this public and
I get your point. The point I sought to ask is, going into the future, how do you intend fixing this problem? You do recall that single spine was not only salary adjustment, it was productivity measurement too. Have we gotten to that level yet?
Well, I have to let you also know the things that are taken into consideration, you know, for salary fixation and all that, are even being reviewed. There's a ministerial committee that is looking at that. The president mentioned that in his May Day speech. Okay,
let me be clear. So we are saying that single spine is still undergoing lots of review. Single spine. Again, is it still going through review?
Oh, but single spine came into existence sometime in 2010.
Yes.
And it's been operational till now.
Yeah.
Under normal circumstances, having operated with a system for some time, you just need to do introspection, review, and that's what we are doing.
And I want to believe that 100% of all workers are actually on single spine today. Those who are supposed to be there.
Those who are supposed to be there are there. Those who are not there, still some work in progress, and you know, some too even feel that they don't have to be on.
What's the percentage left?
They want to opt out. I cannot give the percentage left.
Because we're told 99%. It was left on 1%. I don't know if it's gone down to a figure lower than that or improved beyond that.
No, what I'm telling you is that people living on the single spine
want to
even opt out.
Which grouping are we talking about?
Well, I cannot disclose that. I told you, as for these labor matters,
you are speaking to Ghanaians.
It is not public.
Labor people are Ghanaians.
We are working on documents now.
I'm saying that you are accountable to the people of this republic. Yes. The information is not for me, it's for them.
When the information
you can't tell them which of them want to be or want to be out of this particular single spine system.
When I don't even have the list of those who want to opt out.
Oh no, I mean, you cannot say they want to opt out and say you do not have the list.
I don't have them here. I cannot mention any organization that wants to opt out. But I'm saying that people are even not content with it. They want to. That is why there has been the need for us to look at it, review it. And a committee has been set, a joint committee, in fact, a tripartite.
Okay.
The labor, employers, government, and then sponsored by the Ministries of Finance and Employment, looking at it. So
when are they supposed to finish their work?
We would submit our report to the minister sometime in June.
In June.
In fact, I am chairing that.
Okay, committee. So what's the scope of this work? You are going to ask people to forfeit part of their salary because single spine gave them too much, or you are going to review the strata, or the single spine is not as single as it's supposed to be?
No.
I just want to know the scope of this particular committee.
It's to look at salaries generally in the public and the private sectors.
Oh, we are comparing them?
Yeah, we are comparing them. We will also even are looking at other jurisdictions, what is happening there and so on. Taking productivity indices, all that into consideration. Then we will make recommendations to government.
Is this different from what we're told was supposed to be the second phase of the implementation of the single spine, which is productivity assessment?
No, I do not. This is a completely new committee work, which we have been asked to do. So in the terms of reference is what I'm telling you, so is to look at the salary systems and be able to make recommendations to government.
Then my question will be, what happened to the second phase of single spine? getting people to work for the monies that they've been placed on a strata to actually get?
I think that we are implementing the single spine.
Yes, I get you, but I'm saying that there's a second phase that we were told. In fact, George Graham, who used to be at the Foreign Wages and Salaries Commission, consistently said that they were going to implement that section where they are now going to look at productivity more intently. So you cannot just come into work and not work. Your pay will be tied very strongly to the productivity that you produce.
I share totally the principle.
Yeah.
And that for me is why
my question is not the principle. My question is whether or not you have started considering that element too.
Oh, that is part of the work we are doing now. The committee now is looking at all of this so that we can be able to make recommendations which government should have the political will and implement.
Conditions of service for doctors. How far I will go with that?
Yes, it's also a matter under discussion. As
you have a deadline. I hope you are aware.
Oh, we've been getting deadlines, and because and because
yes,
we have been very consistent with the labor front on the doctor's side. I mean, we respond to them. So if you have an issue and you put before, government, and government shows interest, and government is seen to be walking the talk, what would be the need? Not to have...
Because they have engaged governments before in times past. Governments before have actually dealt with them like, we will deal with it, but never gets a solution anytime soon.
Raymond, I hope that you are seeing that this is a kind of a dispensation that has respect for labor. One thing that I have learned in the labor ministry is that most of the agitations could have even been, slowed down or stopped entirely.
Okay.
If those that are asking for certain demands were given attention. In some cases, government didn't even talk to them at all. They would send letters, there would not be replies, they would, and for me, there's a saying in Akan, when the two mouths meet, Sanoni Anushia, so anytime there are discussions where you bring a matter, and that's what my minister has sought to do. Anytime there's a letter, no matter how small the union is. So now as we speak, I have a matrix. I didn't know that's what we would discuss. I would have shown you the kinds of labor unions and issues that they've brought and the dates and what we should do. I have all this in my office.
I get you, but there's one question I want
treating them. So the doctors front.
Yes. When are you going to resolve the problem? When are they going to get their conditions of service?
Oh, I'm sure it will be pretty soon. And indeed.
Pretty soon is no date.
Before their deadline of April 30.
Yes. You do so.
Before their deadline.
You did?
The health minister had responded to them. But what they came up with is that they were not adequate.
Okay.
And that is why then we also wrote to them that we have received that. So we are engaging the Ministry of Health again. Then we'll come back. So it's something that we will resolve. All doctors should hold fire, and they should trust their leadership and trust government, that we are in talks to ensure that nobody is happy when doctors are seen to go on strike. It does not help in any way. So they should give us a little time and patience as we dialogue and ensure that their demands are optimally met. If we can't even meet all, we would do them as and when is agreeable to both parties.
My last question on the labor front, of course, before we talk about the employment figures proper, my last question on the labor front will be to find out from you, there was some conversation on the plans of government when it comes to creating employment for people who were previously deemed casual workers. Casual workers at Kolebu, casual workers in the various health sectors who were complaining that they've exceeded the period of being casual workers. What's been happening with that particular responsibility?
I'm not apprised with the numbers of casual workers here and there. I know they are in the system. Casual workers in itself.
They aren't supposed to exceed 6 months. Some of them have worked for close to 15 years are casual workers.
Yes, and these things must be, properly brought to the attention of the respective ministries. And then if they have issues, when it gets to us, we will go to the sector ministry, which affects them, and then we will discuss. But like you're saying, from the point of view of law, you cannot be engaging people on casual basis, but because of the system, and when what they do is that because they can't do that, then they have a contract with you for 6 months. So once your contract ends, then they come again, and these are black, things that they do. They are not official. I cannot gloss my eyes and say I've not been privy to that.
I get you. My question also related to that is the understanding we get from, and because you're talking about casual work, it's the part where contract work, according to Professor Akila Pasoya, is becoming the order of the day in the mining sector. Reference is made to Goldfields, reference has been made to Anglo-Gold Ashanti in Ties Pass, and other mining firms who are virtually handing over their responsibility of employing people and maintaining their welfare to a contracted firm. Is this something that government endorses?
Government doesn't endorse that at all. I have to say that on behalf of my minister. He is not happy with that trend. And he has indicated it. And indeed, he mentioned it even to the president, to the extent that on May Day, during the president's speech, some of these things came out. So it is a trend that we are seeing. But the law somehow allows it.
Okay.
So it's very difficult for us. And therefore, minister is looking at the entire Labor Act and seeing where we can even have amendments to ensure that we have the intent for what we really mean. Because if under Section 8, for example, they can, an employer can decide to restructure, he can decide to do, all kinds of things insofar as his or her enterprise is concerned. Just that the Section 65 of this also tells you how you should do it. So we have had challenges with these two sections where the employer has a right to be doing that, and the steps which the employer must follow if he even feels that he must make people redundant and so on and so forth. So it's a fine balance, but people must not hide under the law or behind the law to be doing illegal things. And we are appealing that people as at now respect the position of the law, while we also seek to try and see the amendments to some of the sections.
So it's not only in the mining industry, I'm told in the telecom industry too. It's becoming the order of the day. In fact, banks.
In the service industry, yes. In the banks, finance, service,
they are
service
equally
industry,
trending in that direction.
In the maritime industry,
yes,
this is happening all over. And that's why I'm saying you cannot fault them under the law.
Okay.
Because we have contract work. It is allowed. Temporary work is work. They are all defined in the law. But at what stage as a country can we come to the extent that people have security of tenure of job? Because as at now, when people have 2-year contract, can you imagine what happens to them 3 months? They begin agitating. Yeah. They think of the next steps. They don't know what to do, whether their contracts will be renewed. So it's something that as a country we need to be thinking of. That's why I'm saying it has come to the attention of the minister. And he's thinking strongly that we make proposals for amendments to some of these provisions in the law.
There are 2 questions to end this, and this is because first and foremost, the president was asked during the media encounter how many jobs he has created and what is the unemployment rate in the country. The president required time to do the tabulation, and around May Day, the yacht minister put out a very controversial 1.96.
1.096.
Yes, 1.096 million, jobs, which raised a lot of concern in the country. Now, first and foremost, tell us, as of the beginning of this year, or even, let me be charitable, end of 2017, what was the unemployment rate?
The unemployment rate the figures that we have, and which I have seen, that of the Living Standards Survey, has been dating back to 2015. We have not received formal, report from Statistical Service on the employment rate for 2017. So that for 2015 is what we have, and that stood at 11.9.
Okay.
Yes.
So 11.9% of the population?
Right, of the working population.
How about the vulnerable rate in the unemployment, in the employment part? So how many people are engaged in vulnerable employment?
As we speak now, the totality of the unemployment rate is what we have. I don't have the breakdown.
Okay.
And I didn't even know that this is an area which you wanted us to discuss as well. But as at 2017, we were still looking at the figure for 2015, which stood at 11.9, and for which we know that probably, and if we inject NAPCO and so on, we should be very hopeful that the rate will come down. Yeah,
including the kind of people who claim they have been sacked from various ministries when they used to work there. So would you add those who lost their jobs within the period considered to? Because it doesn't look like the injection has not come without. I'm asking whether you've done the sides of those who have lost their jobs in the throes of you getting people jobs too.
You see, I hear of these arguments sometimes.
But it's true. Those who are perceived Raymond, to be NDC are actually not in office today. Let me give you an example. Now, one single place, Ghana Gas, there was somebody who was employed as PR of Ghana Gas, who has been replaced by the current communications director. To be fair, if Alfredo Bami leaves the job and also fills the place, you've not created employment. It is net zero. It's not so.
I don't even think when we were computing the jobs, those appointments whom for me I'll call political and
were considered.
And under normal circumstance, there are certain positions which, if we were really being truthful to ourselves, if you even lose your position, I mean in government, you don't even have to wait for somebody to tell you to exit.
A PR of a ministry, what do you call it, of a Ghana Gas, that's virtually a public service job.
No, it's a public service job. I don't know the reason and rationale for which one person was removed and replaced. I cannot speak to that.
I get you.
Yes, but I mean, a strategic position like a PR for a public sector, you know, a job like Ghana Gas may take certain things into consideration. Because if you are talking about PR, you know, if somebody has an orientation and thinking in a certain way for somebody, and you come, you do not expect that the person will easily toe your lines. I'm not justifying.
I get you. That, no problem.
Yeah, so let's...
The biggest controversy on your list is the 745,000 jobs that have been created by the Agric Ministry. It's raised eyebrows.
Why do you call it controversial?
Why is it not controversial? All that we have told, is that some farmers were given implements, and by they being given implements, they are necessarily supposed to employ people to work on the farms. That's the justification.
Raymond, one thing, giving somebody implements to go and work.
Yes.
I mean, one thing. The person going there to work is also another.
Yeah.
For government. And that's one. For me, people must change their orientation towards jobs. Many people are looking at jobs like what you are doing. You wear your tie, you come and sit here. But there are so many jobs that have been created out there. Yet people don't see it as jobs. For me, those in the informal sector.
So, sorry, you're talking about 745,000, you say, in the agric sector. Is that what you're saying?
That is the figure the Agric Ministry...
to planting for food and jobs
That is the figure the Agric Ministry has given us. This thing has been debated by you and even the Agric Minister for some time now.
Because my point is that there's still no clarity on the matter. It is unclear how anybody can perceive.
He has shown you and given you breakdown of all the... He did that to you.
Oh, Raymond. No, that is defective breakdown. That is defective breakdown. We have heard it.
I mean, you
can't say defective. Respect. It is because I'm making a point here. The point I'm making here is that there's still a presumption that people will naturally recruit others to work with because you have given them implements. And I'm saying that it is not automatically the same. You can't perceive that merely because you've given me implements, I will necessarily recruit other people to work with.
So
when you've not seen the names.
For him, when he's counting, shouldn't he say he has given these people to go and do that work? He has to say, even here in Joy FM,
yes,
there are people who assign duties. Can you tell whether they are doing their job or not? You assign them, go and cover a program somewhere. And you sit here. If they ask you in the morning, Raymond, how many people have you dispatched today? You probably say 10 people have gone out there. But how many of them really went and covered programs for you?
Honorable, after this break, forgive me, but I have to take a break now. When we return from the break, continue the conversation. My guest is the Deputy Minister in the Employment and Labour Relations Ministry, the Honourable Bright Reku Brobe. We are interrogating government's plans to create jobs, the labour front on its own. When we get back, there are NAPCO issues that ought to be clearly clarified. We will deal with those matters when we come in. You welcome back to our front, and we're excited to be joined. Of course, I mean, I got you in late, forgive me, but the deputy ranking member of the Employment Committee in Parliament. We are also in the studio with the Deputy Minister in the Employment and Labour Relations Ministry. Before you joined us, the conversation was on the 1,096,000, and I get it confused. 1,096,093,000 jobs.
404.
Brilliant jobs that have been created. I was particularly interested in the Planting for Jobs one. I know you in the opposition are equally skeptical about some of the figures in there. In the point, the people still insist they've been employed. Do you have any concrete evidence suggests that these employments have not taken place?
Now, if you say that people insist they have been employed, which people are...
I'm talking about government, actually.
Well, of course, this is some data that government has churned out. It is not as if it's even from statistical services, which in 2016 was doubted by the current vice president. You know,
which one, the figures or the statistical services?
Statistical services figures. Okay. You know, to the extent that this time they are churning out the figures themselves. You know, so as to whether the figures are real or not, I mean, is subject to interrogation by the Ghanaian people. And clearly, if you subject it to interrogation, you realize that it collapses like they collapse like pack of cards. In the first place, out of these 1,096,404 jobs that you're talking about, 745,000 of it, you know, is purported to have been created under the program Planting for Food and Jobs. This figure, when it was mentioned by the Agric Minister at the time, even the Agric Workers Union came out, you know, to debunk it. Experts within the Agric Ministry itself have come out to cast doubt
within the ministry itself.
Within the ministry's experts.
Who is this expert
talking about? Of course, they were all over. I think even your radio station.
I want to be clear. Who is this expert talking about?
The names I can't. Because
it will be strange to me that the ministry chance out a figure, the experts from the ministry will come and dig.
I'm sure that even when you do a playback of some of your tips on Joy FM, you will get.
But you are making the claim to me. I want you to tell me specifically who the person is.
I think that except you're a stranger in Jerusalem, you wouldn't know then that indeed experts from the Ministry of Agriculture had come to cast doubt on these figures that were mentioned by the Agric Minister. And,
except that you can't tell me the experts. That's the point I'm
to make to you. Think tanks, we have had civil society groups all, you know, speaking up as far as this figure is concerned. I get you.
So you're really echoing the thoughts of all of these people?
Yeah, absolutely. Apart from that, those other figures that they talk about, I mean, that alone makes up about 66% of what they claim to have created, job creation. Now, yes, indeed, the Ministry of Health, both the auxiliary or the supporting staff and nurses and doctors, they have engaged over 8,000, but they had already told us in 2016 that there was a deficit of nurses, 38,000. You know, and even if they are engaging close to 10,000, you know, of all auxiliary workers, all staff of the Ministry of Health, then that again is a shortfall, a far cry from what is the reality. You see, you must understand one thing, that a lot of the things that have happened in the other sectors, which will represent about 36% of what they claim are jobs they've created, are not job creation, but job replacements. Now, within the period, I'm sure when we get to SNEED to be able to give us data on the number of people who have gone on pension, who are on pension from 2016, 2017, and those ones would need replacement. When you replace,
so replace them.
When you replace, you have not created jobs.
I see.
Okay.
But it looks like your colleague Atuforsen argues that these were poor sacked and others put in there.
No, I'm coming.
You argue that they were replaced because they were retired.
No, I'm coming to that. Replacement and people who have been wrongfully dismissed and people who have been transferred to areas that obviously made it impossible for them to continue working. Therefore, they vacated their jobs and they were replaced. Again, okay, also,
sorry.
Again, also, when you pack,
because I know
when you pack the various ministries, yeah, because I came a bit late.
But I get you, but I probe these issues. I just want figures.
Yep.
Give me specific figures of the people you think have been replaced and wrongfully dismissed, specific ones.
Yeah, of course. I can't give you accurate figures right now. If I do that, I'll be behaving like them. You know, the fact is this.
Yeah.
Even when you take NADMO, people came out and cried that they've been dismissed since this government took over. School feeding, recently, they were out there. I even have a copy of their petition. You know, the young people have also been asked to go home for no reason. GPHA, Ghana Ports and Harbors Authority. We have YEI. There were hue and cry by young people who said their tenure had not come to an end.
Okay, so you can list a couple of them.
I can go on and on.
I want us to swift a little bit, forgive me, because I want to bring up this particular issue. NAPCO, is the NDC in support or in opposition to this policy? Because it depends on who is speaking. There seems to be some discordance. Really, what is the stance of the NDC on this one?
Well, you see, anything that will offer people opportunity to make a living, even however little it is, we will not condemn. So
you support NAPCO?
No, I don't support NAPCO. I think that NAPCO is just a chip off from YEA. Because
so if it's such a chip off, why are you
so you are not doing anything new? No. You see, when you say
even if you're not doing anything new, what's the problem with that?
I mean, no. We're talking about innovation. Government came into office.
The government say it was an innovation?
Based on, of course, yes. They said it's an innovation. Go look at the 2017 budget.
So you're opposing it because it is not an innovation, not
we are saying that it is nothing new. It is something that is already in existence, and you are only clothing it in, putting it in a new cloth, you know, and then presenting to the world as something new. Like taking an old wine, pouring it into a new bottle, labeling it, and saying that it's new.
But if that is just what is being done, why are you opposed to it?
NAPCO is not new. And we are saying that, you see, you must be innovative.
Okay, I get you, but
because
forgive
if
me. Let me fix this problem with the Honorable, because just 1 minute with him, I'll come back to you. There's a key matter that's being raised by the nurses. They are concerned that they went to school with the same kind of people. You couldn't employ them. You are putting on a program that makes them get a lesser pay than their colleagues. They say there's a principle of equal work for equal pay of equal value. That principle is being breached in this case. Honorable, what's being done about that?
Yes, Raymond, I wish that you just give me a minute to react to.
Okay, do that in 2 minutes for me.
Yeah,
and an answer to the question.
You know, there's a clear path of inconsistency being exhibited by Senior Kwashiga here. You know, per his putting out something, and the last time Honorable Kesley Hayford, what was his name? Kesley Atofossen. Also putting up.
But we've gone beyond that point.
Yes,
forgive me.
Thank God that he is not disagreeing that the numbers are good. He agrees with the numbers, but saying people are retired,
I guess
and then they will react. It takes a very sharp government to ensure that the treasury is solid to be able to recruit. Between 6th December and 7th December 2016 and 6th January 2017, everything under the sun that the NDC government had to do, they did within their means.
I get you.
Yes, but for the fact that they could not do the recruitments.
Can you answer the next question now?
Yes, so let me now come back to your question. My strongest position on these nursing issues are that there are some nurses who had to go to private nursing institutions. Then they have completed school way back 2012, 2013. They have applied to government for regular recruitment. They are being told that when clearance is given, we will recruit you. This NAPCO is just coming in as a stopgap measure. So those who have stayed home, and I know some of them who are working with private clinics now, are even earning 500, 400, I'm telling you for a fact. But this guy, what we are saying is that NAPCO is voluntary anyway. It's voluntary. So you stay at home for 4 years, you have not had anything to do. All we are saying is that we need the expertise. Ghana needs to benefit from what you have gone through. So once you wait for the clearance to come and for us to fully recruit you, this is an opportunity which you must not lose. In spite of all the noise that my colleagues are making,
Okay,
all of the nurses at home have applied.
I'll give you the last word. Actually, I'm giving you the last word. You said all the nurses have applied.
All of them have.
How many were they? How many applied?
My good friend,
I'm asking for specifics.
No, the figures that we have now, over 100,000. Today is 17th or 16th. Over 100,000 people have subscribed to NAPCO, and the health that we earmarked like 5,000 have exceeded way above.
What's the figure?
It has exceeded the 5,000. I can't give you the breakdown now.
Yeah,
forgive me. Let me final
it's most unfortunate. He said no, we're making noise. The fact is that you promised these nurses, in 2016, that when they vote for you, you're going to get them employed immediately. Now, you admitted that there was a gap of 38,000. 38,000 of them are there ready. More than 38,000 of them are ready to work. And that is the yawning gap we have within the health sector, that the nation needs about 38,000 nurses to function fully and effectively. So why are you reneging on the promises?
The nation needs about 60,000 jobs. The treasury is that we cannot.
I was quiet when you
brother. Continue. Because you're ending for me.
Yeah,
but time is running out, forgive me.
Now, you are reneging on the promises that you made. And the employment issue was the arrowhead of the campaign of the NPP when Nana Akufo-Addo himself said that, look, it's like a time bomb and that there's need for us to do something about it rapidly. So the expectation was that they were going to put in place innovative measures to actually forestall this problem. Now the 1D, 1F has become, a story that is so confusing to the extent that the president said they were going to create 50 factories in 50 districts in 2017. That never happened. We are in 2018. We had the Deputy Minister of Trade, Honorable Hunkalisi, talk about 97 districts to be created last year. It never happened. Up to today, not even a single factory has been created in any district of Ghana. And now we are being promised by the same Mr. Hunkalisi that they are in the process of generating 300,000 jobs, out of 1D, 1F. Is that going to really happen? When you do all this, you leave Ghanaians in a limbo and they begin to wonder. And therefore, it is becoming clearer, vividly clear, that the NPP administration, came on the wave of promises, knowing too well that they don't have the capacity to deliver.
Forgive me, I ran out of time. I wish I could allow you, but we can do this conversation once again. But the Honorable Bright Wekubebe is a Deputy Minister in the Ministry of Employment and Labour Relations in Parliament. The Deputy Minority Ranking Member on the Employment Committee is Richard Kwashiga, the Honorable. Thank you so much, folks, for joining us on today's edition of UPfront.